Good evening. I welcome you to my humble abode. My name is Frank Kofi Louis, the Nungua Stool Chief of Staff. On my right is me, Adote Gosange, the Nungua Stool Secretary. And on my left is Mr. Victor Kofi, my special assistant. At this point, I will leave you for the Nungua Stool Secretary to elaborate affairs of Nungua Stool. Thank you.
Ago chamaka jame. Mimba manye kenje wakame himeji ke yemeji fe ade. No se huwe minsa minda wanyimi me neba wongwele namba bu wo gan alo titri Nungua shikule saji ami na me kwa kete Nungua bale hate ino minda me fenshi duba shishi de ni bi mo dia ke na me ji Nungua me ni negba meje negba mbato ntabe bale ame hate ye mo jine Nungua meji me ko me ni kota game ko kumahi ne akeplan keje Egypt kafo inshotulu ne amenye ni lo fahe ahu maswoni nke brofo afutu iwe mo eja ke mambi je mo fe mo nu brofo ni je mo fe mo hu nu ogan o afutu ko ni mo fe mo anali. Well, Nungua came into being as immigrants fleeing the war zone from Israel. They crossed the Red Sea with Moses and others, that's the Israelis. And from there, they came through the Nile River, of which Nungua and the Gan people called it Nilofa. Nile River, Nilofa. They walked through the Nile River. At the end of the day, they sojourned at a place called Congo, by the Congo River. And they had a place where they stayed for some few years and left. That place was known as Boma in Congo. They lived there for a while and left. But by living there, they left some of the people over there. They were now the people of Teshi, known as Okangbashi and his people. They became the Mankralo of La. They lived there for a short while and then left. Came westward and then lived at a place called Ile Ife, where in the books we call it Ile Ife. No, it's Ile Ife. It's a Yoruba name. Ile means home. Ife means love. So Ile Ife means home of love. They stayed there for a while And then for some short time, they were being harassed by the Yorubas. Because during those days, they came as strangers, so they had no farm, they had nothing. And they were even begging from the Yorubas, from their farms. Sometimes if they touch their food from their farms, it becomes war. And because they couldn't stay there with this war, they decided to leave their place to go and find a place of their own. They were in three folds. Those now called Gamashi, and those now called La, and the other Nungua. These were the people who left. By coming, there was a confusion of how they should come. Others said they should leave in the midnight so that before the Yorubas could realize they've gone. But the others also said no, they should leave early dawn so that if they are coming and they meet any enemy, they would see them. But they didn't agree to each other. So those now called Gamashi and La, they left in the midnight. And on their way coming, they realized they've left their condo. So they decided to come back to take it. On their way coming, they met enemies and they started fighting. Meanwhile, those who said they were to leave at dawn have also left. As for them, they took southeast portion of the place. But the first people took northwest. So on the southwest east, they came to the coast and they saw fishermen there. Immediately the fishermen saw them, it became a war. They fought, and fortunately they defeated the fishermen and took their canoes on board. So that was why they said the Nungua people were the first to settle on the Ghana before all others came. Because they came by the sea. So they arrived safely here before the Gamashi and the La people also came. After the wars and everything, they stayed. They spent some years on the way before coming. The Gamashi people lived at Ayawaso on the Okaikwe Hills, and the La people also lived at La Luena at Pampram area. Gamashi people were at Ayawaso, and then when they realized that Ni Oda Nkoto or Ni Oda Wulenchi, the name was Ni Oda Wulenchi, but because people were kotoing him to ask for permission, Ni Oda, we found this place very fertile, I want to farm there. Can you permit us? Oh, go, you are gas, go and farm there. So because people were kotoing him, they called Ni Oda Nkotobo. You come and koto him and then beg. So they called Ni Oda Nkotobo. And for his administrative work, they call him Nodai Abladi or Ablalo. So those were appellations given to him. But the real name was Nodai Wilenchi. Well, the Ghana people came, and then Nodai Kutu allowed them to settle from the boundary between Accra, the Greater Accra, and the Fanti. That was the boundary of New Dakoto's land. So he gave them to take her from that place up to a place known as Dudokwe. Dudokwe. Recently it was Riviera Beach Hotel. Or currently the court complex, the new court complex that has been built opposite the customs head office in Accra. The road in front, that's the boundary between Nungua and Gamashi. Well, they were there until the La people also left Laloe and went to Ajangote Hills, started farming there. But unfortunately, they also said baboons were worrying them. So they also approached Nodai Wulenchi and asked permission to come and live by him. So Nyoda Wulechi eventually allowed them to come by the beach. That is where La is currently situated. They were at La, and then Ni Okangbashi, who happened to be their Mankralo, and then Ni Odoe Achen, who happened to be their chief. There was a problem between them through their nephew. So there was a skirmish, or there was a supposed skirmish. So Ni Okangbashi left and came to Nungua to beg. By then, Ni Afote Oakley, the chief of Nungua by then, for a piece of place to settle by the coast. And for that reason, they were allowed to stay or to live by the Sanguna beach. And their land, which was given to them, when they realized that Ni Oduache wasn't happy or allowing them to come back to La, they decided to purchase the land on which they were allowed to live or to stay. So eventually they bought the land for 60 benda. That was equivalent to I think five British pounds or something. One bender was equivalent to 5 British pounds. So they bought that land from Nungua Avotokli, the Nungua Manche, and his elders, and they were allowed to live. But the land given to Teshi did not cross over the Accra-Adan Road. If I say Accra-Adan Road, recently that is Accra-Tema Road. Formerly it was Accra-Adan Road. That was how it was being called. So that the land didn't cross that road, the land which was given to them. Well, Nungua happened to be the owner of all the land, and the rest of the land left for Nungua was from Oyibi right down to the Dudokwe, which I was talking about, the Riviera Beach Hotel, and then ended at a place known as Angu, or the Greenwich Meridian Rock, recently, where we see the new expansion of the harbor at the Community 3 area by the coast. There was a very big rock in the sea. That was the Nungua fetish, which they brought to establish their town, Nungua. So that is the Nungua boundary. Now, we are coming back to serious issue. Currently, what is happening? And people started grabbing lands in Accra anyhow. Land that does not belong to them, they started grabbing. Why? Because of the 1979 and 1981 coup d'etats by our ex-president and former chairman of the revolution, J.J. Rawlings. When he came into power, we didn't know what happened. There were so many chiefs in Ghana, but he only concentrated on the Accra chiefs, especially the Nungua Manche, Ni Odayiku, and Teshi Manche, Ni Ashikoya Konfran. He came and then started harassing the Nungua Manche without cause, as was done to Teshi Manche. Series of issues happened. He was taken to Gonda Barracks for some days, molested seriously. He was released, let alone to be arrested the following day after he's released to Gonda Barracks again. But powerful chiefs in the other regions and other places stepped into that, and then he was released. Then from there, he went to Osumanche, Ninote Owo. The man was also coming from town to the palace, which was formerly the court of Osu, behind the Grasswell Stadium area. Before reaching the gate of his palace, the revolutionary boys, those are the PDC boys and others, they surrounded the house with sticks and weapons, told him to go back. If he ventured to enter into the house, they would kill him. The chief didn't take one thing and left. And that was also what has brought the chaos in Osu. And chief justice issue has become problem there now. And for that reason, people started falsifying documents to register a lands commission. And that was what brought them problems in Accra, land problems in Accra, as at now. But fortunately, when peace was restored, and then constitutional rule came into being, they started going to court, the other chiefs, over their lands which were being taken over fraudulently. And there had been a series of judgments. A place like Teshi, what they started doing, because they knew they were not having enough land for themselves, they started building across the road. And because they were guns and the chiefs were also handicapped, they couldn't talk, because if you talk, the commando boys will come and arrest you, and then they will do whatever they like with you. So the chiefs became toothless, they couldn't talk. So they started building up. Eventually, the Teshi Mancha by then said he was going to share the land for the families of Teshi. But all the land that they shared did not even cross the Accra-Tema railway line. Because they knew the land didn't belong to them. That was Opoegono area. The land didn't belong to them. If you go to the railway station at the Opoegono area, you see a slab which has been mounted there. And only they've written Bachona railway station. Bachona is Nungua, not Teshi. Bachona railway station, and is there till now. So if the place was supposed to be for Teshi people, how came the Bachona railway station? Now, there were a lot of documents from archives showing that the whole area is for Nungua. One, the land which was acquired by the Gogos government for the construction of the railway line from the East Airport right down to Committee 3 area was acquired from the Nungua Stool. There are documents covering them, Akavia documents. And then the water pipeline which ran from Akosomo right down to wherever in Ghana, the one within Nungua, as described like that of the railway line, was also acquired by the Google government. One was in 1953 and one was 1935 from the Nungua Stool. So that ends the issue of who owns Opoegono. But some of the Teshi people did not agree to that, and they started going around selling lands at Opoegono, some of their chiefs and family heads. So eventually, there were a series of court cases which went to court. Court cases. And for that reason, judgments were delivered. Let me go on to the judgments. On issues concerning Opoegono, there was a case, and the date of the case was on the 3rd February 2011. That was when the case was filed. And then those who were in the case were Agnes Ahaji, Pioneer More Limited, Committee 9 Tema people. They were the plaintiffs from Nungua versus Boesowa, substituted by Sam Norte and then Ni Note Ajefio, and also Numo Ajekwanko Usabu Aiku Ulomo of Teshi. I think he hailed from Kremusu or somewhere in Teshi. This case was tried, and the plaintiffs won the case. The first people were the plaintiffs, and the second people, those were the boys who were up to Ni Note Ajefio, and then Ni Ajekwanko, they were the defendants. They lost the case. By losing the case, they took the matter to appeal court. Those who lost the case, the Teshi people took the matter to appeal court. Then the case was dealt at appeal court with the suit number H1 168/2016. And the parties were Benjamin Dankwa, that was from Teshi, versus Agnes Ahaji, from who had her grant from Nungua Stool. Pioneer Mall Limited from the Nungua Stool. And then there was a judgment dated 20th May 2021 in favor of the plaintiffs, who were the Teshi people who lost at the High Court. They won at the appeal court. For that reason, the matter went to Supreme Court. In the date of the Supreme Court, they went to Supreme Court with a civil appeal number J4/33/2018, and judgment was delivered on the 21st March 2019 in favor of the Nungua people. And there were a lot of issues which arose in that judgment. The Teshi people were so cunning and clever that what they normally did was that two families in Teshi will organize themselves and pick the land which does not belong to them to court. And then they hire lawyers and they start litigating over the issue. For some short period, there will be a judgment for one of them. Then the one who lost will eventually take the case to appeal court, and will also win. Then the other who will lose also will take the matter to Supreme Court, and he will win. Then they will tell you they have even up to Supreme Court judgment, so you don't have anything to say. But in this wise, the Supreme Court says that the case that they dealt with, Nungua wasn't party to the suit. They were the owners of the land, and they weren't parties to the suit. For that reason, those judgments did not affect Nungua. The case was tried, and in that matter, it happened that the High Court judge in the first case said that the Teshi people who were claiming the land said they had the land from one of their elders from Teshi. So the court moved into locus. When I say locus, the area of the scene. In law they say locus. So they moved to the place, and the observation they had didn't suit what they said. But the person they met, the court met and questioned him. He said he also had the same land from the Nungua people. Those they were depending upon, that he gave them the land, said they had the land from the Nungua people. And for that reason, the other people who were Ahaji and others who had their land from the Nungua also said they had their land from the Nungua people. So if your people who said they own the land and gave it to you said they had the land from Nungua, then it means they don't have land to give to you. So eventually, judgment was given in favor of the Nungua people. And the judgment said, Opoegono, Teshi people do not have land at Opoegono. Klemusu people do not have land at Opoegono. If that is the case, and they all had the land from Nungua, then it means all Opoegono lands are Nungua lands. Nungua Stool lands. So whoever is at Opoegono and has obtained land from any Teshi person should know that they have obtained the wrong land for the wrong people. So they should rather hurry to go and see the Nungua Manche and his elders for a proper documentation of their land documents. Otherwise, they will have problem. Now, anybody who feels he or she has obtained land around Opoegono area from Teshi should please, I say please again, contact the Chief of Staff of the Nungua Stool, Mr. Frank Lewy, to lead them to the Standing Committee of the Nungua Traditional Council, who will in turn lead them to the Nungua Manche and his elders for proper documentation of their lands. Otherwise, they will be in problem about the Opoegono issue. Now, for some time now, Ni Adekwanko and his people that have lost the suit at the Supreme Court have taken another document to court to throw dust into the eyes of the court without telling the court that they have lost the case at the Supreme Court concerning Opoegono lands. And they have had a judgment over there. Though the judgment has been set aside, they are using the land guards and some police who didn't know what was going on to harass people in their houses, even up to Ajiringano area. Land that they don't own, which has never been given to them because they came to beg land from Nungua, and Nungua did not give them that place. So how did they get the land? Even their own masters at law came to beg land from Nungua, and they are not claiming land over there. How can you, the beggars who came with tears in your eyes to beg for land, and Nungua gave you the land, you have now gone across the motorway, even you've crossed the railway line, crossed the Spinters line, crossed the motorway to Ajiringano, claiming land over there belongs to you. How can that be? And you are harassing people over there. There had been series of judgments at that area. Now, we had a judgment which was delivered by Justice Broby between Trasako and Tompkins. In that judgment, he says the land, the subject matter, which was at the Ajiringano, forms part of the larger tract of land that belongs to Nungua Stool. So whether it is called Nungua, whether it is called Ajiringano or Nungua New Town Extension, it is still Nungua Stool land belonging to Nungua people. And this matter traveled up to the Supreme Court, and the High Court judgment was upheld at the Supreme Court that the land belongs to Nungua. So how came that people have traveled all the way from the coast to go and harass people over there? I beg them, they should stop all these things. Now, all lands at Ajiringano belongs to Nungua. I have a document here to show from the Regional House of Chiefs, Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs, as far back as the early 1960s. Early 1960s. And when you look at the document, we have one here. Akrowai Amrimancheme, meaning the chiefs of the villages of Nungua. And when you come to Ajiringano, we had a chief called Ni Okleboy the Fourth. Ni Okleboy the Fourth from Nungua. He was the chief of Ajiringano. He was installed 10th October 1960. You understand? Oklebwa the fourth from Nungua was installed the Manche of Ajiringano, and he was installed on the 10th day of October 1960. So how came Tashi could go to Ajiringano and claim land over there? And the name Ajiringano was derived from a man from Nungua, Ni Afote Ajiri, from Ni Ajinwi in Nungua. The real name is Ni Ajiriwi from Nungua. We don't have Ajinwi at Tashi. He was farming on that part of the land, and he has nephews and cousins who were living with the people at Tashi, and they normally came there to visit him to help him on the farm. When he was of old and couldn't farm again, he left the place for them. And because he was farming there, they named the place Ajiringano, meaning Ajiri's grassland. Ajiri's grassland. That was how came the name Ajiringano. So Ajiringano land doesn't belong to them. Now, there's another judgment here from a popular Ghanaian that many people know. General Emmanuel A. Erskine of United Nations fame, and his sister Rosamond E. Erskine. They had a case with one Victoria Okpoti from La, and then Malam Musa and his children. The case was tried at the High Court, and Victoria Okpoti and Malam Musa won the case. It was again tried at the Appeal Court, and Malam Musa and Victoria Okpoti won the case again. General Erskine wasn't tired of the case, so he took the matter back or forward to Supreme Court, and there he won the case finally. And it was clear that the land belongs to Nungua, because he, General Erskine, had his land from Nungua Manche and his elders. So the land at East Legon or Nungua New Town was Nungua land, or is Nungua land. And that is the final judgment, which has never been reviewed by the Supreme Court. This is the judgment. So anybody from anywhere who is not from Nungua and is claiming East Legon or Nungua New Town land should bear in mind and know that the land there doesn't belong to any other person apart from Nungua. There was this case by Nico Tiamli of Klanakota of La against one Rebecca Kufuor, an Asante woman. This woman claimed she had a land at East Legon from the Nungua. So Nico Tiamli and the Klana people took her to court. At the court, the woman claimed the land was given to her by the Nungua, but the court realized that Nungua hadn't given land to the woman. Why? There was one man called Mr. Kofi at Lands Commission. He was a draftsman. This woman went to Lands Commission in search for land at East Legon. Eventually, she was shown to Mr. Kofi, who lived at Nungua by then. He's late. Mr. Kofi is late now. So Mr. Kofi promised her she would try to see the chiefs and elders of Nungua to get the land for the woman, the Rebecca Kufuor woman. not knowing Mr. Kofi was going to falsify documents for her. So there were documents which had been, what should I term it? We didn't go through at the Lands Commission. There were documents at Lands Commission, we had problems, so couldn't go through, and they have been put at some area. They call the place put away. Mr. Kofi went and brought out one of the documents and then saw land at East Legon lying fallow. He made a search at Lands Commission and it wasn't in anybody's name. And it was 2 plots. So he changed the site plan in the document and then erased the name of the owner on the document and then retyped Rebecca Kufuor's name on it cleanly and then changed the dimensions in the document to suit the new land. And because he was working at Land Commission, managed to plot the document for Rebecca Kufuor. Unfortunately for Rebecca Kufuor, when she went on the land, the people came to challenge her that there was one plot which has entered into their land. So when she started building, they demolished the building. The lady took the case to the police, and when the people realized that they were going to be in trouble, they took the matter to court that the land belongs to them. So it became civil case. So it was at the court that the judge realized that the land was not given to the woman by the Nungua Stool, but it was fictitiously given to her by the Mr. Kofi man. But the judgment was given to the La people, and that is what they are using to harass people at East Legon, that the land belongs to La people, Kana people of La. But they've never litigated with Nungua in anything. Unfortunately for them, there was this land given to one Adas from the Nungua Stool. The Nungua Stool gave Adas land, and they challenged Adas, and Adas used the Nungua Stool document to court and won against the La people. That judgment has not been challenged. It has not been appealed against. It has not been challenged. Meaning, the East Legon land belongs to Nungua. So anybody at East Legon should know that they are sitting on Nungua land. If your document does not emanate from the Nungua Stool, then take steps, as I've already mentioned, to see the Chief of Staff of the Nungua Stool, Mr. Frank Lewy, to take you to the Standing Committee of the Nungua Traditional Council, who will again lead you to the Nungua Manche and his elders for proper documentation of your land. Anybody in doubt of the General Erskine's judgment, I'll give you the suit number to go and check. That is in the Superior Court of Judicature, in the Supreme Court, presided by, that's the quorum, Ansan JSC presiding, Adenyina Mrs. JSC, Doche JSC, Yabua JSC, Bafo Bonnie, Bafo Pony JSC. In civil appeal number J4, listen to the appeal number so that if you want to go and check, you see it. Civil appeal number J4 stroke 23 stroke 2016, and the judgment was delivered on the 6th June 2018. That's the title of the case between General Emmanuel A. Erskine, Rosamond Erskine, plaintiffs, appellants, versus Victoria Opoti and Mala Musa, defendants, respondents. This is the title of the case. Now, we are talking about East Legon. East Legon stretches from the Accra Medina Road eastward to Tema and ended at the Popular Dam, which was dark for the construction of the Accra Tema motorway. If you are coming from under bridge to East Legon police station, you go straight and there's a curve. That curve area is the end of East Legon or the Nungua New Town, first Nungua New Town. It's been divided into two phases. Nungua New Town phase 1 is what I'm telling you now, or describing to you now. Now, from that road going to American House, that's the Nungua New Town phase 1. Then the phase 2 starts from the road that leads to American House, right side, and shares common boundary with Botema, that is Ajiringano area, including Transaco and others. That is Nungua New Town phase 2. They all belong to Nungua. They all belong to Nungua. East Legon doesn't cross the Accra Tema motorway, but in all, the area of Accra Tema motorway was acquired with executive instrument from the Nungua Stool. There is archival records to that. Then across the motorway downwards, you come and cross the Spinters Road up to the Accra Tema railway line. The whole area, Matetu inclusive, East Airport, all belong to Nungua, because the railway line stretching from East Airport up to Tema Community 3 area was acquired. The land was acquired from the Nungua Stool. So if anybody claims that that area belongs to them, why were they not giving the compensation? Where the compensation was given to Nungua, including the Accra Tema water pipeline, which stretches from Akosumu right now. The one within the Nungua area was also paid to Nungua, and there are archival records to that effect. So if we are talking about Nungua, downwards, this is what is there. Now, there's a place up to Oyibi area, Katamansu area, which near Pobitatetu, De La Manche, sealed the grantees of Nungua Stool, and the Nungua Stool and the village chiefs of some of the Nungua villages, that some areas within the Nungua Stool lands belongs to them, especially Kwatepapafio area, Japan Motors or Lakeside area going to Katamansu. He said all belongs to them. So the matter went to court. Because they've given some of the land to some estates developers, and then Nungua Stool has also given land to estate developers, there was a judgment stating that the estate developer who was in contention had the land from the Nungua Stool, and the land on which he was belonged to the Nungua Stool. So he should go and take his land, so that the law also will take the rest of the land left, which was not in the suit, which they were claiming, but they were not happy about the issue or the judgment. So they took the matter to Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court judges ordered for a composite plan to be prepared, and it was prepared. La showing their boundary, Nungua showing their boundary, and that was used at the Supreme Court. But eventually, the Supreme Court judged for the La people. And then the matter went to Supreme Court. The appeal court judged the case. And then the matter went to Supreme Court. But unfortunately, there was a lapse in the case. What was it? La people that sue the others, or who were the plaintiffs in the case initially, used the title La Traditional Council in suing. But by then, they were not clothed. They were not clothed. Abukwame Mama, they were not clothed with the title Traditional Council. They were Divisional Council alongside stools like Tema, Nungua, Tashi, La, and Osu. They were all Divisional Councils under the Ghana Traditional Council. So they were not having the capacity of Traditional Council to sue with that. And then there was one company from the Nungua side, which was Lakeside Estate. They also had their land from Japan Motors. Japan Motors subletted the land to them. So when they went to court, they used the name Japan Motors in the suit. But if you go onto records, the land at the Japan Motors have already transferred their interest of the land to the Lakeside Estate. And for that reason, they were not to use Japan Motors in suing. So you see, these people use ghost name, these people also use ghost name. So the Supreme Court said, all the case that has been tried from the High Court up to the Appeal Court should be quashed, because the names they use or the capacities they use were not on record, and they couldn't have used the title that they did not belong to them to sue. So if Nungua have all these things, how do you come from behind to claim within these acquisitions? General public, chiefs and elders, thank you all.
Everyone that is a developer or any resident that within these areas that he has mentioned, please take steps and come to the palace, or you come see me. Together we see the standing committee for us to go and process your document. If not, the legal consequences will come. We are making these points for your own good, for peace in this country. As we live in this country, each of us wants to live peaceful. And the Stool, as I know, King Odaifio Wilinchi is a peace maker. He wants everybody to live within his land peaceful. Thank you.
As we heard from the Nungua Stool Secretary with the Nungua Chief of Staff, all what I have to say about this is, yes, of course, we are aware about the illegalities and the fraudulent documents that are parading around the Nungua Stool lands. Most of these forgery documents are coming from individuals who are not even from Nungua. Some are from Nungua, others are from foreigners and all this are parading all these foreign documents to acquire land. All what the king and then there's two, the Nungua Stool wants is a genuine document that each and everyone who have a property within the Nungua lands or the Nungua under the Nungua Stool to get a genuine document, a document that in the next future when you are not there, your children, your grandchildren can rely on. But for now, it comes to the notice that majority of the Nungua lands or majority of the land transactions are fraudulent. And who are we going to ask? And how are we going to do it? The only people who can help us now are still alive. And as we don't want them to die before we still struggle or fight for the land or the genuinity of the lands, the document, we ask all of you, all individuals who are within the Nungua land, where the names the school secretary have mentioned some of the places, the chief of staff also mentioned some of the places, and I know most of you people know where you are staying and the sort of document you are holding. If you find out or if you feel like all the document you are holding or what you are having is not genuine, please contact us. If you contact the chief of staff, if you come to the Nungua Palace, they can assist you to get your genuine documents. We have a lot to say. I say when the management and I get the school secretary has spoken, the chief of staff has spoken. So the little one is an expression of advice. Each and everyone who wants a genuine document to come and contact us. And we are ready to help and assist you. Thank you.